but I felt like I was at the end again. Second time in my life I felt that way. The first time was when I quit drinking. The second time is when I went to the PTSD program with the VA hospital. And something inside me snapped, and I had drawn a plan. And so I was perfectly ready to do it. And I'm calm about it. And my kids were in the house. My son was about 1 year old. He was crying in the crib, and I can see it right now. And then my little boy Rico was sitting on the couch, and he had a friend over. And I'm pacing in the house, knowing this is the end. But I mean, you know it without missing it. And something told me I had that little magnet. Thank God for little refrigerator magnets. I still keep it. A little refrigerator magnet that had the VA helpline on it. And for some reason, I called it.
Welcome back to the Roots of Ambition podcast here in beautiful Brentwood, California. Today, we have Mr. Rich D. Martinez in the building. Welcome, bro. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome
Thank
to
you.
the show, baby.
Yeah.
Hey, before we even get started, I want to just kind of like tell people how we ran into each other.
Absolutely.
Right? We were the Roots of Ambition podcast. We were invited to our first boxing event. They gave us the green light to go to the media day, go to the actual. They gave us the behind the scene passes, and we were, man. Honestly, it was the first time at a real, like, I've been to many of them, but to be in that area where we're able to go inside the area and take pictures and go to the back room and watch the guys get ready, and going from the blue corner to the red corner and seeing the different, like, transitions of guys getting ready and the psychology and hearing the coaches. That was badass, dude. We interviewed the real Banditos, and we were there after his fight, congratulating him, and I overheard you talking to him, and I was like, man, this guy seems like a solid dude. I want to introduce myself to this guy. And we talked, and man, here you go on the podcast, baby.
Yeah.
Right? I was like, we got to talk to this guy, man.
Yeah.
I'm very big on. I always tell people when I'm talking to people or I'm talking to kids, I always use the word always be connected.
Yeah.
And that's something like throughout my whole life, especially in business. The you want to always connect with people. You want to talk to people. You want to ask questions. You want them to get to know you. You want to know them. And look at, it leads us down these positive avenues where we meet people like you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, brother, before we jump into this, before we start, can you just give a quick introduction to who you are, where you're from, how, just a quick little, introduction to you.
Okay, so I'm Rich Martinez, and essentially I have a private family foundation called the Danny D Foundation. It's named after my brother. Years ago, back in 2011, my brother was murdered, and it really put a real shock into my family. When something like that happens, it's really difficult for families to. I'll tell you what, the good and the bad come out in people is what happens, and everybody has to deal with it, yeah. But it was more than just my brother. At the time, my biological mom, had passed away 6 months earlier. So my brother was murdered. I was at the crime scene, and it was a high-profile murder. And so it was in the papers. And when it happened, you're at the funeral, and Department of Justice is there, and FBI and whatnot. And that was really intrusive. And people think like. One of the things I really want to get across is that people think they see it on TV, they see it on Law and Order or something. They think like, oh man, I'm repping, or this is cool. When you have a family member who's murdered and you have cameras, long range cameras across the street and whatnot, it's really intrusive. It's not even something I can really describe to you.
Because you're trying to deal with the grief and stuff, and you got all these people going through.
Absolutely.
How old were you when this happened?
Let's see, Danny was 20. I was probably about 36 years old at the time.
Okay.
So,
And what happened if you don't mind me asking?
so my brother was in a bike club, and their wives against another bike club. I'll say that. And a couple guys were prospecting for the rival bike club, and they came across my brother's getting his bike worked on at one of the other members' shop. Typical story. And they're both full patch members, my brother and the guy that owned the bike shop. And he just happened to go by there to get, his chain tightened or whatever. The guy had called him, "Hey man, can you come by, bro? I got time." And needless to say, two guys pulled up. From my understanding, they got a little fist fight, a little squabble there, and guns came out and they shot my brother. But what's the kicker of it all is the fact that my brother had cystic fibrosis. So the foundation is named the Danny D 65 Foundation, and that's where that comes from. When children are little and they're born with cystic fibrosis, and you can look it up online. It's a lung illness and it can affect the pancreas too, but mainly it's the lungs. Their lung capacity, they can't breathe, essentially. And so they're constantly taking steroids, constantly doing things for their lungs. So we grew up with the fact that we knew Danny was going to pass away at a young age. And so our whole lives, we had been preparing for this. But the science had gotten better through the years.
Right.
He had lived longer, and he was one of those kids that in a million years you would have never known he had a sickness. He was the coolest guy in the room, always had the girls, always was the main character, and that's kind of relevant of my family. The Martinez family, my dad was like that, I've been like that, my brother Jay, my brother Danny, all of us, my sister Stephanie, we were all always just extroverted people and life of the party type people, but Danny was like encompassed all of us. And he was like the guy. And from water skiing on the Delta, he was barefoot skiing when he was, I think we taught him when he was about 10.
Wow.
So it was the first time I saw him do it. And then through our whole lives, I remember teaching Danny how to ski, and he was far better than I ever was. And we taught him that.
Wow.
So we were real proud about that. And taking boats out, and he had childhood friends, and his funeral was enormous. I think there was 1,000 people, a little over 1,000 people there.
How old was he?
26.
Huge.
So yeah, and so that helped in a sense that we understood that he was going to pass away. We didn't expect it to happen like that, but just in saying, in God's world, nothing happens by mistake, and there's a lot of little signals. Like the number 65 is very significant because when the children are small, they teach them to say the word 65 roses instead of cystic fibrosis. Yes, that's exactly what it all means. So it encompasses all that. So 65 Roses is the foundation, I believe, for the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. So I kind of took that. And the symbol is actually tattooed on my forearm here. Yeah, I'm sure we can get a shot of it later.
Yeah.
But my brother Jay has it. Danny was my half brother, but we weren't raised like that. I want to make that real clear. That's not, what I mean? I'm sure we all have that. His mom has it. She has it on her foot. My dad had it. Danny had it on his torso from here to here.
Wow.
And my son has it, Rico.
Wow.
His is a little bit different. He wanted to do a little bit different, but his is really beautiful too. It's 65 Roses. So all of us have that.
Is that hereditary or is it?
Yeah, it's hereditary.
It is.
People can be, and you're born with it. There's a couple tests they can do, but now, he was born in 85. So back then, the lifespan was only about maybe, I think it was 15 years old was the longest. Yeah. And then,
So the lung capacity gets worse over time?
yes, I'm going to try to not misspeak about it,
Okay.
but at some point it colonizes. In other words, it takes over the entire lungs. And so they're up for a lung transplant. So my brother was at the point where he was up for a lung transplant, but again, I could pull up pictures of him, and
You could
you could not tell in a million years. He just was a regular guy, and it was mind-boggling. But what I loved about my brother the most is the fact that he never quit. He never gave up. Nothing stopped him. He still played football. He still boxed. He still, he still went out and did all the things that people do.
That's right.
And
That's right.
and I love that about him.
Yes.
And so that's the idea behind the foundation. Is I thought, I wanted to do something to represent him and what he had done because he lived a life that was really amazing. And um, the best way I could represent him was by helping others, helping others. So we
That's
all grew
awesome.
really cool. Yeah.
So you started the foundation,
Yep.
and it was shortly after he passed, or how did that came to be?
No, it's taken me some years. I think through a lot of trial and error. I've had different businesses. I've made money, lost money. I've been married and divorced and child support and all that stuff. There's a whole lot encompassing that. I recently, in the last, I would say 5 years, let's say after COVID, I really started focusing on what I could do to better my life for my children and kind of really like took a broader scope and not just looked at life as what am I going to do now? I need to just do this, this, and this, and plan for my retirement, and so on and so forth. It took a much broader scope, and it came to me over like a lot of years of experiencing life. I've been all over the world. Um, I've slept in bushes and panhandled money, and I've made a million. So I've been on both spectrums, and so all that gathered up, and I realized I needed to do something more.
Right.
And I had an old man that taught me a lot about life, and he passed away. And one of the things he kept telling me to do is have fun and give back. And that's how I really thought I need to do something more. And so I have enough money of my own. Don't get me wrong, everybody can make more money and have, more, but I thought I need to give something back. So I created a foundation, and I've done everything with this mom. So me and Diane talk a lot about it. Nothing I do doesn't go by her, and she is 100% on board with it. I wouldn't do anything in any way that she felt was off. If she didn't like it, I wouldn't do it.
Respect.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
So, and Diane was great to us when we were kids. She was my stepmom for years, and I have a lot of love for her.
Right.
So, needless to say, let me back up a little bit. After Danny died, my sister Stephanie passed away.
So that's 3 deaths in a row.
So yes,
All like within a year.
it was about 2 years. So it was devastating to our family, and the value of family came really into play then. That's when you realize two things that happened. I realized my mortality, and I realized that there is much more in this world that is far more important than the things that I think about at that time.
Mm.
Like there are greater goods.
Right.
And I realized that my children were the most important thing for myself. That family, I valued it a lot higher. And it just, everything blossomed from that point, I think.
I would imagine that took you some time to figure out. Was it immediate? Because you have death after death. Usually, you don't always go to the positive side of things.
No. So in 2000, I'll say this, in 2017, so Danny died in 2011. My mom died in 2011. My stepson it's actually 4 deaths. My stepson from my first marriage, he passed away. He OD'd, and
wow.
he was young. God rest his soul, Gregory.
Brother.
And then my sister Stephanie died in a freak car accident. So this all happened in a short amount of time. And anybody in that state, you're an emotional wreck. There's no other way to put it.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
So I got married again, and I married a friend of mine that I have known since I was a kid.
Mm.
And it was kind of like a rush thing, Me and her name's Carrie. Me and Carrie have since have become very good friends. And there was a lot of turmoil in that relationship, and she knew it. Not necessarily horrific things, but just there was so much turmoil. But a lot of it had to do with my own personal issues with my post-traumatic stress disorder. So I have PTSD from a combination of things. I'll tell you that. From being beat as a kid. I don't say like I was abused. I was beat. We were tortured by my dad. It was really, really bad. And then going into the military, there was a lot of things I did when I was in Central America that I'm really not proud of, and I'm really it took me a long time to get past that. Sleeping on the streets for years after that. Uh, and then just in my own personal, in my marriages, I cheated on my wife, just all the mistakes you make. I went into business. I remember one year we had invested in a bunch of properties. I had made a million with my cousin Ray. We had tons of money and flying around the United States. And I got a call from one of our tenants, and somebody had ran over the main water. This is out there off of Power. We had a property out there on Power Inn and Gerber, I think. But it's real ghetto area, Sacramento.
Okay.
And somebody had taken a mini bike and ran over the front of the loaner. And the water main was blowing everywhere. They had no water in the dry place.
Oh.
And the girl's calling me. She's screaming. She's going, Rich, you got the cities out here. And my first words to her, and this is when I knew something was off, is I said, you know what, girl, you just need to wet some towels and just hang in there.
What?
And I hung up the phone.
Yeah.
And I think in that moment, I realized that what I had become, what I didn't want to be. But you have those different moments of clarity throughout life. And that rings in my head really deep. So, needless to say, it took a combination of all those things throughout the years. And in 2017, I had really came to the end of my own mental. I had a mental breakdown, and I was going to go. I was going to go do something really bad, and I was losing my job at PG&E. I had been with PG&E for about 10 years at that time, and making tons of money and living a good life. And but I felt like I was at the end again. Second time in my life I felt that way. The first time was when I quit drinking. The second time is when I went to the PTSD program with the VA hospital. And something inside me snapped, and I had drawn a plan to go and kill my boss, to be honest with you. And I'd actually drawn a plan out. And I know I'm capable of it, and I know I had the weapons to do it. At the time, I was hanging out with some Navy SEAL buddies of mine, and we were shooting up at this camp. And so I was perfectly ready to do it. And I'm calm about it. And my kids were in the house. My son was about 1 year old. He was crying in the crib, and I can see it right now. And then my little boy, Rico, was sitting on the couch, and he had a friend over. And I'm pacing in the house knowing this is the end. But I mean, it without missing it. And something told me, I had that little magnet. Thank God for little refrigerator magnets. I still keep it. A little refrigerator magnet that had the VA helpline on it. And for some reason, I called it. And God love the VA, I'll tell you that. I want to really get this out.
Yeah.
If people don't know, Obama, Biden, George Bush, and I'll even say Donald Trump, and I don't really like the guy, but all of them put money into the VA and made a huge difference. Because when I got out, it didn't exist.
Right.
It was desolate. And then I used to go with my grandfather when I was young, who was a World War II vet, and there was no VA. I used to see those people laying around the hospital. So it has made a huge difference. I'll tell you that. And when you go there, they came and within 5 minutes, the police were at my door.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how did that go? Did you told them what you were thinking?
So they have this really weird ability. To be honest with you, they have a really uncanny ability to pull it out of you without you even realizing they're doing it. And I couldn't tell you what I said or anything.
Right.
It's pretty much a blur. But you're just talking to them. I go, yeah. I remember telling them what I was going to do, but you talk about it as very a matter of fact. Like, yeah, no, I'm going to take them out. I think if it's, you're just talking about it. And she goes, no, I don't think that would be a good idea, Rich. And I go, well, why? I mean, look at what's happening. And within 5 minutes, and I remember the police pulling the phone. And so my kids saw me get arrested in front of the house. And, so you regret those things in life. So you think of, what can I do to fix all that? And you can't necessarily fix it, but if you can show them something better, and different, and they can actually physically see it.
Yeah.
My son remembers it, my older son, and he talks about it. And we've talked about it openly now that he's in his, he's going to be 20 this year. But
So
he
he was around 10.
Yeah. So we talked about it openly, and it's okay now. I guess I don't want to say okay, but I think you learn to live with things.
Yeah.
Through time.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like you can tell them, you can try to tell your kids about this perfect life, but that's not, nobody has a perfect life. So,
Yeah.
The best thing sometimes, more than giving them advice, is showing them I fell down and I got up, and this is how you did it. Like, you literally show them I was down like this. What else are you going to do? You can either hide it, they're still going to know about it,
Yeah.
and then they don't get the reward of knowing, like, okay, well, he went through it and he fixed it.
Something that when we initially started talking, though, there's something that I wanted to get across. And it was life is defined in seconds and inches. And in a clear example of that is when I met you guys. That's a clear example because I was
Yeah.
walking by, or you guys were right there, and I just happened to be talking to Robert about it.
Yeah.
And I was just telling
No, you just had your back to us, and me and Danny were having a conversation. And I don't know what you said, but you said something that we both turned around, and we're like, you said something good to Rob, like you were giving him some sort of advice. And so we turned around, I was like, that guy sounds like a cool guy. And I was like, we should talk to him.
Yeah.
And so we waited, we're like, okay, let's let him finish his thing. As soon as we waited, we're like, introduce ourselves. And,
And but I think those are the things that people miss. People miss the most is that how much it is. The whole entire trajectory of my life has changed numerous times. When I was in the military, I got in trouble in the military, and I'll tell you what happened. I was in a blackout drinking. I've been told the story a million times, and I can remember it fading in and out. And me and my buddy were fighting the whole way in Japan at an air show in Atsugi, Japan. And they had loaded us up in the van, and we were still fighting in the van.
wow.
And they had calmed us down enough where they shoved me in the front seat, and they were trying to buckle me up. And for some reason, we were from here to the line up there, and I mean 5 feet from the front gate, just crossing the front gate. And I turned around to punch him, and he put his foot up and kicked me in the face. And the guards at the gate saw it, and they stopped us and pulled over. And then I remember getting arrested. And then I found out the next day that Japanese nationals had taken pictures of it. And so I went to captain's mast, and I got in a lot of trouble in the Navy and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But my whole entire trajectory of my life changed at that moment. And I was 5 feet away. If I would have waited
Nobody
5 feet, nobody would say anything.
Oh.
So if we would have crossed right over there and the gate guards wouldn't have seen us
Yeah.
and kept going, I may not even be sitting here right now.
And in which ways did it change immediately after, other than being in trouble?
Say that again?
In which ways did it change immediately after that happened? Obviously, you got in trouble. What did it change your career in the Navy?
Yeah, I thought so when I initially was in the military, I thought I was going to be there forever. I had sailed the quarter. I had a Navy Achievement Medal when I was in E3. I had made rank really fast. I was about to make E2, E5. I was about to make second class, and I had been in the Navy under 4 years. I was about to do it to it. You know what I mean? I was moving. I was on the fast road, but my drinking was out of control. And they knew that, especially after we came back from Central America. So this was on our following deployment to Japan. But I was just completely out of control. I had already had a DUI, and the command didn't know about it. I had managed to weasel my way past it, so they didn't find out. Needless to say, when that happened, everything changed. And I did not have the ability to stay in because I was busted down. It took all the oomph and all the drive I had to become the best CV on the planet. I was in the CVs when I was in the Navy, and just changed. And my attitude and outlook completely changed. And all of a sudden, I fell into that poor me status. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden, you're like, we used to say FTN, which was, F the Navy.
Yeah.
And I became that guy, and I was done. You know, I
Became a
could,
victim.
yeah, exactly. You become a victim, and so I get out, and what happens? Now I have all these nightmares from everything we had done, and I don't care. So I go back to the old neighborhood. I get, involved. Back then we called it crank. Meth was a different type of drug, I guess. I don't know what, but we used to just, and you get into a lot of speed, you get into a lot of doing a lot of crank and drinking more. I'm a heavy drinker, so
Did you drink before before you were in the Navy, or?
yeah. So I can back up a little bit. So the first time I went into treatment, I was 14.
Oh wow!
So yeah, so
I read that. Yeah.
yeah. So when I initially went into treatment, long story short, uh, essentially me and a buddy of mine had ran away and we were drinking in the dumpster, and then it's a long drawn out story. I won't even get into that. But I ended up in a treatment center, and then I ended up partying more. I call it partying. I was a teenager, but you progress even as a teenager. I was getting heavy into acid, frying on a lot of acid, and I was hanging out with that group, and so smoked a lot of weed, and then you get into doing a lot of crank. We used to call it back then. It was called like peanut butter crank. This is how long ago it was. It's a very very long time ago.
Yeah.
And when that happened, then I got cleaned up, and I started going to AA meetings more, and I became like this. I don't want to say guru, but in my mind, I became this important person in AA, and that's a very common thing. Just to let you know, in Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous, don't somebody in AA or somebody in NA tells you that they have it all figured out, run from them. Trust me. In the 40 years I've been in that, trust me, I've seen the craziest people there.
So let's peel back a little bit, man. So you're from the Mission District, San Francisco, born and raised, right?
So we were born. All of us come from the Mission. My dad grew up on, or let me back up. My mom grew up on Potrero Hill. My dad grew up in the Mission, and so back then, this is the '60s, and it was a lot different then.
Yeah.
And they were extremely poor. And my mom was really sheltered, from what I understand. I found more out about this. They had my brother when they were 17. They had me when I was 19, but they got married. But back then it was different. My grandfather met with her grandparents, and they all just drank, beer and laughed and said, "You got to go get married."
Right.
So they went to the courthouse. They got married, and their marriage lasted maybe a year and a half. They got a little apartment, and my dad used to beat my mom, but that was the life. My mom would just cook for him, but they were kids. I never put that in perspective. Right? They were 19 years old with two boys living in a little flat in downtown, in the Mission in San Francisco. So you can't really. They lived above a bar. But that was the life then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then my dad was actually really good at math. So he tested for PG&E and aced the test, and he got off. And so the abuse that he experienced is totally different. This is how I've learned to forgive my parents. Is my grandmother used to beat him with brooms, and there was 9 of them, like in a 1-bedroom place when they moved up here. And they used to steal tortillas and throw them out the window, and give them to the neighborhood and stuff like that. It's a much different life then. And after me and Jay were born, they got divorced. We ended up staying with my mom. My mom, I found out later on, was heavy into pills. I didn't know that. Like Quaaludes at the time.
Quaaludes.
And through a series of events, my mom was more into cocaine. My dad was into drugs. He still worked at PG&E. He got remarried to Diane.
You would still see your dad even though you were staying with your mom.
Say it again?
You would still see your dad even though you were staying with your mom?
We saw my dad my dad was like a vision. He was like, we would see him. Well, it felt like once a year. Like, dad came, oh my God. And what I found out later is what it was is my dad would come whenever him and Diane would get in a fight. And then he'd come down to where we lived. They lived I think they moved to Fremont. And so they would come over to the peninsula to where we're at. We moved from like South City to, my mom would try to move us further out. So South City, to San Carlos, to San Mateo, to, wherever she could to get us away. And we would spend our weekends in San Francisco. We would spend our summers in San Francisco. We'd either spend it at my grandpa's house in Daly City or at my Grandma Mary's house, which was on 1719 Alabama, which is at Presidio Park. Mm-hmm. So we grew up at Presidio Park. That's where we spent most of our childhood.
So most kids who develop, habits like drugs and alcohol, a lot of times, me for example, because of some kind of escape, something we need numbness from, or we're trying to forget something. Right, or we're just trying to amplify the hate and the anger that we have inside, and we want to release it somehow.
Yeah,
it's it's different strokes for different folks, right? For you, what caused that? Was it the relationship with your father? Was it, and my second question is, at what age did your dad start beating you guys?
So, I had been around drugs my entire life.
Right.
And I remember smoking weed when I was about 6 or 7. I've been drinking my whole life. Mm-hmm. And that was like, you would go around and we would walk around. So I grew up in a party house. But let me rephrase that. That is the way it was. And I'm real clear on that. And why I want to express that is, if you grow up like that, no different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
because everybody around you
does it. So I didn't know these things until years later. Mm-hmm. So hindsight is 20/20. Mm-hmm. So you can see it backwards, but when you're there in it, so it took me a long time to understand that I even grew up like that. So people will struggle with stuff and have problems, but they don't even know they have them, right? Because it was totally normal. Yeah. It's totally normal to be beat. It's totally normal to hit your old lady. It's totally normal. And right now, when I say that, listen to what I'm saying. No, I said it's totally normal to hit your old lady. Yeah. I don't even say wife, woman, or anything. Your old lady. Because it's great, ingrained in you. Yeah. So that type of lifestyle was totally normal. So my mom used drugs. My mom was hooked on cocaine. And my cousins sold it. It was a party house. I remember growing up, a lot of fights. Very violent. Very. But there's something that I want to separate though. Yeah. My mom. Well, I lived with my mom till I was about 10 years old, and then the drugs really had taken over and had gotten really bad. And then me and my brother moved in with my dad. So. My mom could sing, and she had this incredible voice, and I'm not kidding. Her voice was so amazing that I didn't know how good it was until I heard other people sing, and I'm like, they're not that good. They're like, oh no, they're the best. I'm like, oh, my mom could sing way better than that. Yeah. And then we would bring people by so my mom would sing, even when she was down and out, and she would sing, they were like, what? Yeah, she used to sing like Barbra Streisand to us, stuff like that, Melissa Manchester, Earth, Wind and Fire. We grew up on all that. Old school. So cleaning the house on Sunday was like the greatest feeling, or washing dishes. I can see that. And so where my safe place is in my mind is watching my mom sing. Mm-hmm. So if when I meditate, now I meditate and do yoga and stuff. When I meditate the deepest, the two places I go is Puerto Rico, when I would run down this, like a real dense jungle area. And the other place I go is my mom, when I would sit and listen to her sing in the kitchen. Oh, so those are two places I can go that are my safest places to go.
That's awesome.
And so my mom taught us a lot about love. We didn't have anything, and I mean nothing. We were the kids that when you bring the canned foods to the school to donate, we were the kids that got this. Yeah, so we really had nothing. And we learned to just be happy with what we had. Yeah. And then we moved, and my dad was like this rich guy because he worked for PG&E. My mom kind of put that in our heads. I guess I didn't realize how good of a job it was until I got older. Mm-hmm. And then when we moved in with my dad when I was 10, that's when it really went downhill. Oh. So my dad didn't know what to do, I think. But in hindsight, again, I look at it. I've been to the house that we all lived in where Diane, my dad, me and my brother, Danny and Stephanie, when they were babies, all lived in this little 3-bedroom house in Fremont. But we had a pool. So we thought we were rich.
Well,
you know what I mean? We had never had anything like that.
Yeah.
We had 2 pairs of shoes. It was unheard of.
Yeah.
So when we get there, but the thing about it is my dad's abuse. I look back on it now and I realize that he was just a product of his environment.
Yeah.
You know, he was exactly what he was raised as.
He didn't know any better.
No.
It was what you do.
No, not at all. And, you know, we got hit with a belt and that kind of stuff, but he would punch us a lot. But the one thing that stands out, and what I mean by torture, my dad would make us stand against a wall for hours. And what I mean by that is we would have to stand up on our tippy toes straight up facing the wall. So if I'm facing the wall, he would make us stand up there, and it was a hard tile floor. We couldn't build shoes on. So he would stand barefoot up against the wall, and he would sit right over here and watch us to make sure that we didn't rest our feet. Mm-hmm. And I can tell you, if you did it right now for a minute, your ankles and everything would be burning. They're on fire. So we would do it for hours. And then we would still get hit with the belt and still get yelled at. And so, I mean, it was really, really bad. And so the minute that we moved, him and Diane got divorced and my dad bought a house in Stockton, I went to go live with my mom. I couldn't handle that.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
How many years into that was?
3 years.
13.
13 by then, 13, 14. Moved in with my mom.
Just you or all your
Just me.
Just you?
Danny and Stephanie stayed with Diane, with their mom in Fremont.
Oh, okay.
Jay stayed with my dad. My brother Jay,
Older or younger?
He's older.
He's older.
Jay's the oldest. Jay's the oldest and second to the oldest. It was, Jay could tolerate that life. I couldn't. Jay could tolerate it because he gave money. My brother has openly said this, that he, at that time in his life, he wanted money. And my dad would give him a little bit of money and every now and then, and so he could live with it.
Yeah.
I couldn't take it. So I stayed with my
At
mom.
that time, those 3 years, did your mom get worse and drugs or better?
My mom, my mom quit the drugs, but she became a raging alcoholic. And we didn't realize this. She was drinking wine. She used to drink gallons of wine. I remember going and seeing my mom laying in bed. And she had these, my grandfather would buy her, I missed the whole part about my grandfather. My grandfather really took care of us. My mom's dad. He was really, really good. I love that man.
Yeah.
Actually, I have a tattoo for him right here. He was a gunner's mate in World War II. Wow. And that he was, Grandpa's the man.
Yeah, hey,
he was the man.
All those men were World War
Yeah.
II, bro. Shoot.
He was the man. His name was Arthur Slices. And there's
The
4 of them.
bravest generation. They
Yeah,
said.
he was the man. He was one of those barrel chested big guys, kicked everybody's ass. And we idolized him because he always had the girl. You know, he got divorced from my grandma.
Yeah.
You know, and they were married 25 years, but he always had girlfriends, and you know, he wore the suits. And then when he got older, he had like the gold chains with the big eagle.
No, what?
Yeah, oh yeah. And he'd be going out to the card rooms and
Yeah.
hustling them in poker. I'm not kidding.
So you moved back with your mom. You're 13, and then a year later, you check into rehab at 14.
Yeah, my mom.
When did that when did it start getting out of control, and why?
So my mom had gone to treatment in '86, and she had got cleaned up. But my mom had other issues with like men. You know what I mean? She always wanted a man to save her.
Yeah.
And so she always had the extreme loser boyfriends. And I mean, top notch, the single worst guys you could ever meet. I mean, the guys who get fired from the gas station on the second day they're there.
Yeah.
You know, just primo guys. And my mom obviously started drinking. And when my mom drank, I drank. She was my drinking buddy.
Oh, wow.
So when I was young, I would drink with my mom. But once again, you go back to the party house. So you just start drinking and partying with everybody there. And I was
Were you drinking at your dad's also?
No. My dad was a different...
So from 10 to 13, you were not drinking?
No, not really. I would say, sneaking sips of beer. Stuff
Not
like
on a
that.
regular
No.
So So it's really until you get back.
Yeah, I get back at my mom's. It starts to become more of a habit, and then you're hanging out with other kids who have drinking problems who have been to rehab. That's what intensifies it too. Once you go to rehab, you hook up with other people that have been there.
They teach you a lot.
They teach you a lot more.
Yeah, they do.
So, and I was young, impressionable, and so then I started hooking up and hanging out with the wrong people. You know, you talk about the loser crowd or whatever in high school, but there's a crowd that stays. And I remember crack was a big thing then. That's how long ago this was. And I had a lot of friends that smoked crack. And, I just like frying on acid, and I have probably taken well over 200-300 hits of acid in a couple of years. I mean, a lot. So, I've done a lot in a short time, and then you're getting high and you're partying, and then you get into crank so you can drink more. And eventually it came to a head, and I quit. I was young. I think I was 15. And I stayed sober for 5 years. But in that 5 years, I thought I was somebody because you constantly get complimented. Oh, look how good you're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, you're young, and God, it's so good to see you young people here in AA and in NA and all that. And so then you would get asked to speak places. And I'm really charismatic. I'm very much so the same as I was then, when I was just a lot younger, as I am now. And I could talk to people, and so I started thinking I was somebody.
Wow.
And, just like any other recovering alcoholic, once your ego starts, you're running on ego, then, they call it edging out God. You start pushing out, and you start thinking you're somebody.
Yeah.
And then I joined the military. I was working, picking up wood for $5 an hour out on a job site. I was old school. I graduated from high school. I had, my grandfather told me, you go out to a job site and you ask them, hey man, I'll work for free today. And I did.
Nice.
And got hired on, started picking up wood, worked for a bunch of really prejudiced white dudes. That was called, you stupid fucking wetback, every day. I remember them dropping gable vents on me, which is sheet metal. You know what I mean? You could have cut me. Yeah. I was really, I hated it, but I stayed.
Yeah.
And that gave me a different mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And what it did is I had to work 10 times as hard as everybody else to prove I was half as good as them.
Right.
And that was a problem in itself, because I carried that my whole life. Until now, or until a few years back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I did, and I destroyed my body. That's what I did. So trying to prove myself to people that didn't really care. But what's funny is, full circle, 10, 15 years later, they all worked for me. It's true. That's a fact. They did. Yeah.
Wow, bro.
Yeah.
How'd that happen? So
I got a that's a whole, I'll get into it in a second,
yeah.
but you never know. And I'll tell you what I've learned in life, and I'll give another one here, is the ass you're chewing may be the ass you're kissing.
Yeah. No,
So you always have to be very careful.
Never know, man.
Because you don't.
But that's why.
Don't.
Isn't that's why that's why it's important to treat people good, bro.
Absolutely.
Because, one way or another, karma will kick you in the ass. Or say hello 10 years down the line.
You should treat people good just in general.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
From a selfish perspective, it's the best fucking thing to do anyways, because then karma doesn't get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell people that all the time. Yeah. I say, why shouldn't I treat somebody who I may not know, a complete stranger?
Right.
You never know who that person is. My life, and I'll go back to it, my life is defined in seconds and inches. I should be nice to you. Because if I'm not, then how do I not know that you're going to be the person that's going to save me 10 years from now? I don't know that.
But at the end of the day, it's the right thing to do.
That's the right, exactly.
It's the right.
We hear that a lot here. Certainly at the beginning when we were starting the podcast, we were nobody, and we will invite people that maybe that's their first time on the podcast. Maybe they're not like some famous person,
Right.
And we always treat everybody well. Like, there's never been like, oh, so-so's coming, they have more followers or they're more famous.
Yeah.
We're going to treat them even better than everybody else. We treat everybody else. We keep the red carpet to everybody. And we had people that are like, dude, I've been to studios and I shot movies and they don't treat us this way.
We're just doing who we are, bro.
Yeah, that goes a long way.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, people like me and all the people I know,
Right.
that's why I really push this. It's because what you're doing is very real, and it's not the likes or the followers. I'll tell you what, right now, just on a personal note, in Stockton, in City Council, we have a person on City Council. He's the vice mayor. I think his name is Jason Lee. And he has a huge following on social media, and he does have a show. He's knows tons of famous people because he has a show on BET. Like, I don't know if it's like a gossip show, but one of those kind of gossip shows or whatever. He does it, and he'll bring that up in city council meetings. And it's funny to me because I'm thinking to myself, do you think the guy that just filled up his tank for $6 a gallon and is working over there at Amazon and his wife's working and they're trying to meet everything, do you think they care anything about how many followers you have? They don't. It's you realize how out of touch people are with reality.
100%.
Yeah, and by being real and just being yourself, and I think that term "being real" gets thrown around too loosely.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not. It's just following your heart and being who you really are.
That's right.
Yeah.
And even it's always been important. I feel like it's become a very important commodity now of being real, because you don't know what's real anymore. I mean, not just people, but literally everything is put in front of us. You gotta question everything. It's so funny. I sent a picture to your wife.
Yeah. Oh yeah. She's like, what the?
And the first thing is this AI? Because literally that's how you think. It was an AI picture, but it's just crazy.
Yeah. The one thing that I really do, man, and I learned this a long time ago, was I bring the respect to the table. Here goes my respect, man. Don't fuck it up, right? Like, here, the bar is all the way up here now. What you decide on your end is up to you, because I'm going to give you my respect. I'm going to shake your hand. I'm going to talk polite. I'm going to do everything possible to make sure that if this relationship goes south, it ain't going to be because of me.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I'm giving you everything positive. And I try to inject positivity wherever I go, right? And I think a lot of people don't understand that, bro, right? Or sometimes if you're too nice, people take it the wrong way.
Right.
Right? Because that's just kind of the world we live in, or people with their past mistakes, right? For you, brother, like for you, when you were going through like the turmoil with losing all these people, man, I can't imagine what was going on in here. How did you stay stable, bro? How did you stay I'm sure it wasn't great, but like what kept you kind of centered?
Probably, right. I'll say my second wife, Carrie. I really loved Carrie a lot,
right?
And I think I still do to this day. But I've grown up with her,
right?
And I'm not in love with her or anything like that. It's more of a she's a good friend,
right?
And I care a lot about her, and she would keep me grounded because she knew me when we were 13. She knew me when we were 14.
Kids.
Yeah, and so her view and her perspective was entirely different. And to be honest with you, she's got a master's in psychology. And I always tease her, for as little common sense as she has, she's one of the smartest people I've met.
Wow.
And it's because she can clearly define what issues are. Even, I'll tell you this, a couple of years ago, I was dating a girl, and my little guy plays football. So me and her, usually she works till like 6 or something. I have a lot more freedom on my job. And so I'll usually take Bubba to practice. And so we meet out there. And so we just sit out there and BS the whole time we're out there watching my practice. And I'll tell her, I go, I was dating this girl, and she'll look at me and she already knows, like, because I a lot of times I don't pick the right ones. So this is going to sound bad. I picked this girl who had done a lot of time in prison.
Oh, shit.
I know it sounds bad.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as it sounds. She was real hot, dude.
You like those crazy ones too, huh, brother?
Yeah.
So like the toxic one.
Yeah. And she would look at me and she'd go, Rich, the dynamics of you and her can't work. And I would say, what do you mean? And she would just break it down. She would say, she has been in a place where everything is rigid and scheduled and this way and this way and this way and this way. You don't live in that. You can kind of do what you want, and because it would drive me nuts. Like she was very, you know, she didn't. You know, it felt like she wore shower shoes still, and I don't know if she did or didn't.
Right.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like she was like very.
Yeah.
She would come to my house and she would clean little.
How long was
prints
she
of the
in
baseboard.
prison? It sounds like a long time.
20 years.
Yeah.
But she had been out for 5.
Now,
she-
you spent 20 years.
Yeah, you're institutionalized.
I've been around quite a few people like that.
Yeah, and
you
I
just
had.
can't take it out.
Here's the funny thing. You know, I spent 40 years in AA. I have met tons and have good friends that have done a lot of time, and I know this.
Yeah.
But you still do it anyway.
But she was hot.
Yeah.
That's the one part of the equation you didn't plan on.
Yeah, and that to be truthful with you, man, that is the single biggest thing that I've struggled with my whole life, and I still do to this day. You know, it's coexisting with another human being.
Mm.
I can work well with other people, and it's not that I'm overbearing or underbearing or don't care or not care. It's just finding somebody that you can spend quality time with
That's
that,
big,
that you
bro.
agree with. You know, that you got. And I know today that, you know, everything doesn't have to be perfect. And it's not about finding it. It's about finding somebody you're compatible with, and also having somebody that relationships are compromised. Period. You guys have been married for. I was married for twice. Once for 9 years and once for just 2 years. But
Yeah.
I still have steady. You know, I still get along with both of my ex-wives. We still talk. We're good friends. But the point being is that you have to have some compromise in there. You're not going to be able to get along with them all the time. It's just a matter of fact. And I can't expect them to always be what I think they should be. At the same time, they're not going to expect me to do that either. But the only thing I can really control is my own reactions. That's it.
Right.
I cannot change you. I cannot change her. I cannot change them. So sometimes I just have to walk away and say, hey, you know, I'm sorry, but that's something I can't live. Like I can't. My mom was always in the hospital,
Yeah.
right? Because she was always sick. So I have a hard time. I can't date somebody who always has medical issues.
Yeah. Oh, no.
That's a real deep-seated thing. I'll tell somebody right out the gate.
I can't do it.
Yeah, I can't do it.
Do it. So do you find that you're older now, right? You've been through your experiences, you have your young kids, and you're kind of at the tail end, right? You're towards the other side. Do you find yourself more picky now? Like more like, there's got to be certain things that this person must carry, and if you don't carry, a few of those, I got to push to the side, or
Yeah. I
You know what I mean?
yeah, there's the like affection and do I have my top 3 things? Like you
Yeah.
have to be affectionate. You can't I'm not one that let me back up. So affection is a big thing. There's a lot of people that don't want to hold hands, steal, or anything like that. And that's weird.
This is gonna go on your
That's-
dating profile, so make sure.
Tinder.
But you have your top 3 things that you think are important.
That
You know?
is crazy what you just said, though. There's some people who are just not affectionate,
Yeah.
bro.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't make them bad.
Right.
You know what I mean? I have a very close friend that's
Yeah.
and we dated when we were kids.
Yeah.
And I talked to her not that long ago. She's been with the same guy forever. She's helping me. She's a bigwig in the construction industry.
Okay.
So we still talk a lot about jobs and whatnot.
Yeah.
And she's just not like that. She's a hell of a person.
Yeah.
And she found somebody that matches her personality.
Yeah.
And it makes perfect sense to me.
Since-
Yeah. And so I know that anything's possible. And just because they may not want to do the things that I do doesn't mean that they're wrong or
Yeah.
bad or anything. Just means that, hey,
You guys
we're
are
just
not
different.
compatible.
Yeah.
But I think now you can identify that that's the thing.
Right.
Early relationships, and I can think of myself how I thought when I was younger. Looking at that situation, you're like, oh, we can change that person. You can't change anybody. Like you are at the core. I truly believe that you are who you are early on. Like
Character versus personality.
yeah, so you obviously, like, if you have addictions and stuff like that, it doesn't mean you can't outgrow those things. But like you are the person you were when you were like 10 years old now.
Yeah.
And so if you meet a person that has a character trait that you are not compatible with, it's never gonna work. It's just there's no way to help.
I will give you
One of the two is gonna be miserable.
I will give you a clear example right now. Before I got here, I met with Elisangela, and it takes me a minute to pronounce her name because of my teeth. It's hard. So she's from Brazil, and I really like her. We get along great. Right now, and we dated on and off for a long time, but I had to end it. This is 20 minutes before I came here.
Oh wow, bro.
I met her at Starbucks, and I was going to take her to one of the big boxing matches. And I said, for me, it's dating, and we have, issues because she only speaks Brazilian or Portuguese. She can speak English, so there's a little dialogue. So it's better for us to meet in person and translate in person, because then you can really see. And I just told her, I really care about you, really like you, but I want somebody that I can date. And she replied back in the reply that, she likes going out and dancing at places and stuff like that. Well, I don't mind doing that, but I don't mind going to bars. I don't drink.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's just, I can do it once in a while, but
not as a regular.
Just not my get down.
No,
Yeah. So I told her, I can't do this. And we ended it. And am I upset? Yeah, it bugs me, but I know it's the right thing to do.
Right.
And now could I go back and act like it's all okay just to be with her and sleep with her, or because she's real pretty, to flash her awesome? Yeah, I could, but
no.
for what?
Yeah.
I'd rather be alone and be happy than struggle in a relationship like I did when I was younger, just to have somebody there.
Right.
Do you ever worry about that though? I mean, you're obviously not a spring chicken.
No.
And as we get older, I certainly think about like, shit, I'm really glad I have Aaron. As the older I get, like, sometimes I just don't feel like being around people in general, and I just need somebody. She understands me. I don't need to explain whether I'm having a good day or a bad day. She knows which fucking mode I'm in, and she either stays out of the way or assists for if needed. Like, and just something me and her. Like, I know, literally, like, depending on what music she's listening to, I know what kind of mood she's in.
Yeah.
I show up and she's cleaning with Disney movie and the house. Oh shit! I gotta turn around and go get some flowers or something.
Yeah. No, I do. I absolutely do. And I had not stopped looking for somebody. You know what I mean? It's not. There's not like a lack of effort. There's times where I'm not. And it's not necessarily that I'm looking, because I'll go back to it again. Your life's defined in seconds and inches. And it's because you just have to be present. Yeah. And this is where I think the biggest difference from people that are actually active in their lives and people that are just existing. And for me, it's being present in your own life. Mm-hmm. And a clear example of that was when I dated the girl who had been incarcerated for a long time. She is existing in this world, because she has a hard time functioning in anything outside. And for me, I am a part of this world. I'm actually involved in life. I actually like people. It's the people that go, oh, I don't like people. I don't want to be around people.
Yeah.
We all have that moment.
Right.
I'm around a lot of people, and I enjoy my solitude.
For a day is fine. If you do it for a life, like, what do you get for it?
And I think when people do that, they're missing something.
Yeah.
And whether it be a selfish thing, or whether it be no God in their life, or no sort, it doesn't even have to be just some sort of spiritual connection with the world. Mm-hmm. I think something's missing. And until you really find that, you're never going to be complete and have that kind of happiness. And I know today that you really do need something, some sort of guidance. And you can call it, I think people get too, especially in this day and age right now, people to get way too caught up in calling it Jesus, or calling it Allah, or calling it Buddha, or, it's a spiritual guidance. If you have something that you believe in that is positive and that gives you, I practice, I gave my life to Jesus Christ when I quit drinking, and I have stayed with that. But without a doubt, I have learned so much spirituality from every facet of my life. From listening to yoga tapes, from listening to different spiritual speakers, from everything you can imagine.
Right.
And so I take it all.
And I think you're completely right. I've been thinking a lot lately about that because I don't go to church.
Huh.
But, and I've been reading a lot about different stuff. I actually was, I forget what I read this, or I don't know if I read this or I listened to it in a video. But it really made me understand it. And so I've been looking at different stuff. Right now I'm in an exploratory type of where like I'm looking at different religions, I really been also focusing on like ancestral type of way of thinking. And one of the things that I was listening to, they said something like, if you don't believe in something, then by default you are the god. So you're basically thinking you're the highest thing.
Yep.
Because you don't have a higher belief. Right? And so therefore that's why you come to these problems where like you don't have the one for life because you don't have a higher power that you believe in. And it doesn't have to be God. It has to be something higher than you. You can't be the end. Otherwise it's like you can't finish the loop.
Yep.
And so, anyways, I'm sure I'm butchering that part, but that just really got to me.
No, you're right. You're not butchering it at all. You make perfect sense.
Right on, man. So, hey, I was reading here. How old were you when you made your first million?
Oh, I think it was 31.
And how'd that feel, bro?
So it kind of happened on a whim. Like you don't really realize you have it until somebody points it out. So when I was working, when I got clean and I got cleaned up, I started working for a plumbing contractor. I love that guy, Kyle Peterson. I haven't seen him in years, but he gave me a job and I was making $7 an hour digging ditches.
Yeah.
And he hooked me up with a really good journeyman, a guy named Joel, and taught me a trade. And I became a plumber and started doing we were doing track houses and custom homes, stuff like that. And I got better and better, ended up becoming a journeyman, became a foreman for his company. And then one day true story, I borrowed $5,000 from what are those high interest, like not Capital One, but you know the ones that like on the corner, or I borrowed like a checking cash or whatever.
Yeah.
I borrowed $5,000.
He said on the corner.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I did. Yeah, I might as well.
Depends on what corner, big dog.
Yeah, a little pistol starter, only $5,000, 2 points on the front, 3 on the back. No. So I borrowed $5,000 and I had a truck and some tools. Okay. And I went and started my own business, and me and this dude, Mike, boat tiller, Bodie, I called him, we started making money hand over fist. We would
without a license or without a license?
I was in the middle. I had already applied for the license.
Okay.
You know, it takes a long time.
Yeah.
So back then, you took it up in Sacramento on the computer and all that. I've had license since 2003.
So
first license I got.
So that day you burned the ships and said, "Let's roll, baby."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We drove everywhere. Me and those were great times. I flew to Japan. I think visit my brother for a week.
When you started making some money.
Yeah. But we caught it right at the right time. And me and Bodie, at the time, I owned 2 homes. Okay. I had bought my first home, and a buddy of mine had told me, hey, you can buy a second home with your VA loan. Yeah. And I didn't know that. I didn't know you could use your VA loan twice. So remember that. You can use your VA loan like 30 times if you want. You can only have one VA loan at a time. So like you have a conventional or, you know what I mean, FHA, you can only have one VA loan at a time. Now I'm finding out you can actually have 2, but I'm not going to go into that.
Yeah.
But so I would buy a house and then I would rent it out, and then I would put the VA loan on my new house and rent out the other one, turn it into a conventional. This is when the housing market was moving up real rapid.
What year was this? 2003?
2002, 2003.
Okay.
Right in there. So
right before the bubble, that's when things were cooking.
So then we were remodeling this guy's house, and he said he wanted to sell it. I said, I'll buy it from you. He says, really? I said, yeah. He had a pool and everything. I was like, yeah, I'll turn this into my little pimp shack. I had bought a vet. And so I bought it. I had a boat, vet, everything. And we were just remodeling homes. We were doing bathrooms and kitchens and um, I mean everything you can imagine, fences, everything. But we made a ton of money.
Right on, bro.
And
Obviously, you guys weren't doing it by yourselves. Were you like, did you hire help or?
we were doing it by ourselves.
Oh, just you two?
Yeah, me and
Right,
Billy.
wow.
Yeah, we were two guys on the truck.
Oh, you
No,
guys-
We were gonna
overhead,
name it
just
two guys in a truck and some tools.
Oh, right on.
And
bro.
we named what was the first name we had? RNT Plumbing. Rich and Thick Plumbing.
Oh, okay.
Because Bodie was this big old thick white dude.
Yeah.
And all the sisters used to tell, woo, come here, thickness. So we called
Give me
it
some sugar.
Yeah. So we called it Rich and Thick Plumbing.
Oh man.
And anyway, so I love that guy. That was some of the funnest times of my life.
Yeah.
And we ended up going separate ways, but we're still friends today. Making a ton of money. I bought the third house, and
Yeah.
then my grandmother on my mom's side passed away.
Right.
My grandma Dora, and I ran into my cousin Ray at the funeral. I hadn't seen him in years. Well, him and his wife had graduated from UCLA,
Mhm.
and they had they had bought a house, then bought a rental, and had another one they were about to buy.
Yeah.
And they were just working. They worked for like Chiron. They did a biological
No, yeah,
Testing.
testing and all that. Yeah. So
like
she
abatement too, or just testing?
say it again.
Abatement?
No.
No.
Injectable medications.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. So like they're these huge, lab companies.
Yeah.
But they had a degree. Like there's some smartest people out
They
here.
were doing good for themselves.
Yes. I mean, she was had a BS in molecular genetics. She had papers published,
Wow.
and then he had one in microbiology.
Yeah.
So, but they worked for it. You know what I mean? They were not super smart. They just worked really hard.
Right.
A lot of them, they graduated from UCLA. So they had just put some money away, and their stock split and made a bunch of money on that. So we had combined forces, and we created with a third partner. John Chappell was at the time he wasn't an attorney yet. He was just he had a master's in taxation,
Yeah.
and he worked for the state, so he knew how the tax brackets worked.
Nice.
So we created an LLC. This is long before anybody had even talked about it. We didn't even know what it was.
Right.
Like it wasn't common knowledge. And from that point, we created Mardell Investments.
Okay.
And with Mardell Investments, we made a grip. And we started buying land. I don't know how much we actually owned at one time.
So I gotta ask you a question.
Go
Just curious. How did that work, bro? Did you guys take out loans from a bank? Did you guys put money in and started buy one property at a time? And if you guys were doing that, were you guys flipping the houses yourself? Were you sitting on them? Were you selling them? Flipping them? How did that work? Because I'm
Sure.
asking because that's something I've been in my vision lately.
Okay. Okay, so there's two parts to that question. They originally asked me, how did I make my first million?
Yeah.
And the second part is, how did I do my investments?
Yeah.
So
With your new team.
So those are two separate things, but they all combined
Right.
in one. So
Right.
how I personally made my first million was not just through the LLC. It was also I made another partnership with a friend of mine, a childhood friend of mine named Dan Seamus, and Danny already had an established name, and his father had been a builder for ever in Stockton, and so he had lots, buildable lots up in the foothills. So he was building spec homes up there. So we could do larger projects.
Yeah.
So we started doing $200,000 and $300,000 remodels in 2003, 2004.
That was long.
So that was massive. You know what I mean? Like people would buy, and those were from like lenders for National City Mortgage. It's a lot of dirty money, but you're talking huge amounts of money. We did another edition for like 190. You know what I mean? Just bigger. So you have that going. Okay. Then I had my own company, my own work.
That's what I was gonna say. So you still have the plumbing company?
So the plumbing company turned into a two-part company. It was a plumbing and building. I went and got a B license too.
Nice.
So I had the partnership with Danny. I had my own, and then I had my own crew. They would go out and we would do everything from bathroom remodels, kitchen remodels. That was like your bread and butter. You could turn over. So I would make 20,000, 30,000 a month
Yeah.
through that. And then I started doing some fire damage homes. That's big money there.
Yeah.
Right.
Working with insurances.
Working with insurances and whatnot. Then the third part was Mardell Investments with Ray. So we had the 3 homes. We took the buying power, went to the bank. So on paper, we're millionaires. So,
Yeah.
when you combine it all together, you have, instead of having, 3 homes with not 90,000 in equity, now you have 6 with, 280,000. So they let you borrow against that. So you could take 70,000. So both of us had cash.
Yeah.
So if I took 25,000, he took 25,000, and we put it down,
Right.
then you can buy. But they'll let you buy multiples. So what we would do is initially we started buying like 1 and 2 homes, and we would lease to rent.
Yeah.
Or lease to own. I'm sorry. We did that only once or twice because that didn't go well.
Right.
You really don't make a lot of money on that. We thought we would help people, right? Then one day he flew back home. This is the truth. One day we were driving up to Elk Grove to look at some land to buy, and he goes, "Stop everything. We're buying in Texas." I go, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "I just flew back from Texas this morning." He was all disheveled. I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Man, the market's so hot out there." So I booked a flight that night, and I flew out to Texas, and we bought
What city in particular?
New Braunfels,
Okay.
right outside of San Antonio. And we bought 30 buildable acres, and we bought 4 lots. And what we did to do that is Ray put up his securities. So Ray had about roughly close to, let's say, 800,000 in securities from when his stock split. So he actually used him and his wife's securities. He put that up against it. And so we were able to borrow.
Let's say 100,000 in 2003, 2004.
Uh-huh.
So that's several million now. They will be putting that less.
So through all of that, money comes and goes. So at that point, you have it felt like an endless supply. And that's when you start spending. So by 2004, I had bought like my 3rd house that we lived in. And, the houses get bigger and all that stuff. And then I would go in and remodel the entire house. I got married to my first wife. We had this, expensive wedding. I had re-landscaped the whole house. I went, you do the things you always want to do. I'll tell you that. I bought a Porsche right off the showroom floor. I drove it off the showroom floor. We were working up in Sacramento, and I drove by this place. I said, "Man, I want to buy that." I went and I bought it. So you do little things like that.
You're right.
Because you can. And then I remember flying to New York. Ray stayed to listen to Donald Trump. No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we, you live. You're spending $500-$600 on food, and you blow through a lot of money because I had never had anything like that.
Right. Right.
And by 2007, I thought, I don't think this is going that well. By that point, we had owned like a couple triplexes. We had multiple rentals. But I can tell you this, at that time, I couldn't even tell you how much we had because we didn't even pay attention to it anymore.
Wow.
Because we were just counting the money. And
did you guys have an office, like a system that took care of all of the back end stuff? Nothing. It was just you guys.
It was us, and then Ray had went and got a broker's license because he had a BA degree, so he could go test. Both of him, me and him are really good at tests, so we can test. He would test for it, you would get it, he would insure it, and then now we would own it in house instead of using these other people.
Right.
So then, he had this huge home in Mount Brooklyn, so he had a huge office in there. And then he bought. I remember one year he bought a house in Texas that's like 6,000 square foot castle. It had a dance room in it.
Oh, really?
With the wooden floors and the mirrors.
Yeah.
What do you got this for? Wait. He had leather bound walls in one of the dining rooms.
Ooh.
I remember because now you got to imagine, Ray's my cousin.
Yeah.
So I remember he living on the south side of Sacramento, going to Valley High.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where they had nothing. I mean, driving old
B210.
Yeah, they had nothing. And
literally from rocks to riches.
yeah. And so we didn't know what to do. And so in the end, the economy tanked.
Right.
The attorney, which became, the tax guy, which became an attorney, he ended up buying me out for about 75 grand. I actually walked away with about 75 grand. out of everything. And then I went to work for PG&E.
Dang.
Did that company stay or did it tank?
No, we tanked there. You had to, because a byproduct of all that is a lot of people started suing each other.
Right.
So we did this, me and Danny did this like 200, and this is something I really regret. So we did this huge remodel for some really bad people. They actually were, the FBI came to our house one day because they were looking for, they weren't bad in the sense of like gangster bad, but they were really wealthy people, a white couple. I'll tell their names, Mark Friend and Paula Schmidt. And fuck them.
White collar freaking gangsters.
Crooks. They would hire Spanish speaking people to hustle people in Spanish to sell them loans.
Oh.
And he was like one of the head, not head, but one of the main guys at National City Mortgage. So they were making, and I'm not even exaggerating, $800,000-900,000 in 6 months on lending on loans. They were loan officers. I mean, an unheard of amount.
Sharks.
Yeah. They knew, like, they bought this house for $200,000 that was going in foreclosure on the water. They gave us $400,000 to fucking remodel it. We only took $290 because they kicked us off the job because they wanted to do it cheaper after we did all the rough-in work, all the hard shit. Yeah, and we said, no, you got to buy us out. So then they hired a high-powered attorney. And that they took it to, they even took it to summary judgment a couple times. The judge kicked it out and said no. And my brother happened to work for us. He just came back from Afghanistan. And I remember telling them when we were doing depositions, I said, yeah, my brother just, Afghan, Iraqi war vet just came out and he was working for us. And we were just trying to help him. And we went deep with it.
Yeah.
So I ended up having to file bankruptcy. So,
bro,
because they have more money than have more money than you can't. There's a point where you can't.
You just
It damaged mine and Danny's relationship.
Oh, no.
And now he's my brother. I love him to death, and that was a turning point in my life again.
Okay.
Like I never wanted to lose Danny as a friend, and it crushed me.
Wow.
And I went to work for PG&E though.
So going from that period of your life, ultra successful, things are rocking and rolling, to going into back to getting a job.
Yeah.
Right? How was that, bro? Because I was talking to a gentleman the other day and he was like, man, I've been humbled a few times in my life, but having to close down my business to go back to work for someone, like he said, it took me almost 2 years to get over that. I just couldn't believe it every day. Like I effed up this and I effed up that, and it was more than humbling. He said it was still like I just can't deal with it.
So I'll come back to things that my mom taught me about family.
Okay.
And it's because of family and my brother dying. So when I went back to work for PG&E, or when I went to work for PG&E, 2008. So it was difficult, but I had an AA sponsor. His name was Mark Sanders, and Mark was a very real guy. You know what I mean? He came from nothing. He was an old oaky dude. When he quit drinking, he lived in a pay-by-day hotel with him, his wife, his 2 kids, and his mistress in a hot plate. I swear to God, in a cooler. Yeah, and he was a multi-billionaire. He ended up, owning a ceramic tile company. He was one of the best tile setters out there. And he did great. But he told me, like, you're just going to have to do what you need to do to take care of your family. And that's what stuck with me. And my mom always talking about taking care of your family. So when I went to work for PG&E, I never you have to imagine too, I gave up since I was a little boy. Me and my brother would play, Rick and Jim in my grandfather's basement in the house in Daly City. It was real personal, but he was a welder. He had big welding gloves. And we were going to be big construction workers. And I was going to be Rick and he was going to be Jim. And we were going to be these tough kids. So my whole life, all I ever wanted to be was, a tough construction worker like my grandfather. And I gave it up, man. You know what I mean? You walk away from it. And I ended up doing I was an engineering estimator when I got hired at PTSD, working on a computer all day using AutoCAD.
Yeah.
And to me, I was a lunchbox guy. And I fucking hated it.
Mm.
You know, I really did. But I knew that I could do more. So again, there's my drive. And I remember my brother Jay telling me that. He goes, dude, you're the fucking man, Rich. He goes, you're the guy that you made $1 million from coming out. You slept from Blizzard Town money, and then 5 years later, you're worth $1 million.
Yeah.
He goes, you can do anything.
Absolutely.
And so I applied for a supervisor position at PG&E. Unheard of at that time there. People that don't work at PG&E for a long time don't apply for supervisor. I did, and I got it. And that's when the San Bruno explosion happened, too. So I was a construction supervisor. I was a gas construction supervisor in Oakland.
Yeah, I
And
remember that.
trust me, it's an Oakland yard.
Yeah.
So it was a hardcore PG&E yard, and I'm talking old school 40, 50-year-old dudes that you could hit with a bat and they wouldn't even know it. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Just tough as nails, blind from welding and everything. You know what I mean? Tough as hard. I love those guys. And that's the group I took over.
Wow.
Yeah, and I gained their respect. You know, and San Bruno happened, and we went. You know, there's a lot going on. That's a whole other story. But
Yeah.
I learned to appreciate it all. And
Right.
then,
Okay.
you know, my mom died, my brother was murdered, my
That was around
stepson
the same
died,
time.
all at the same time. So you have to find more purpose, and I think Mark told me this many years ago. My old AA sponsor, he said, when the times are the hardest is when you need to really find purpose. And I tell that to people all the time. Like, if you're in that situation, like death is a perfect example of it, because you're gonna grieve, and you have to. It's not a choice. It's just gonna happen. You're gonna be angry, sad, and you know the 5 stages of grieving. It just is a fact. So in any of those stages, you have to find purpose. And so what I would do whenever I'm depressed or whenever things were tough like that, I would get up and find little purpose. So during that time, you know, everything's bad. I would say, okay, today my purpose, or just for the 10 minutes, I'm going to mow the lawn. Day one.
Yeah.
What's your next purpose? You know what I mean? Okay, I need to wash the car. And it could be the smallest thing, but whatever purpose it is, you have to find purpose, because most of us feel that impending doom. When, you know, bad things happen, it's not bad things, but when things happen, death, or you break up with somebody, or when I think relationships end, you have that feeling of losing a companion. It's not necessarily that you lost the person itself. You may think at the time it's a person, but you feel the loss of losing a companion. That's the person you did stuff with. So you had planned your life with them.
Yeah.
You planned, hey, we're going to go to Starbucks on Monday. We went to Starbucks every Monday. We went here, we went there.
You
Now
literally
they're
have
gone.
a universe
Yeah.
where they're part of. Now you have to reconstruct this universe.
So how do you do that? You find purpose. And that's how I've lived my life. Just anytime something gets bad, and even now, like I'll go home tonight, and tomorrow I'll be sad about, you know, not being able to date Ellie anymore. But so I'll find purpose. So I'll do little things to get up and find more things.
Rich, you, from all the stories we heard from you so far, like, you have a lot of reasons to not have a good look at our life, right? Like, you've been brought down and you gotten up, and then you've been through it throughout these years, and you obviously have a really positive outlook on life. So, what is, you think, the origin story to that positive attitude you have? Were you born with it? Was it something that just put it in you? Because not everybody does. Some people just stay the victim for good.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people.
A lot of people do.
Okay.
I have to credit that to the 12 steps. So in any 12-step program and any of that, they always, I'll credit that, spending 40 years of my life in and out and all that. And I'll tell you why. It's because one of the biggest things they talk about is gratitude, right? And gratitude is the act of being thankful. So when that's pounded in, it's been put in my head since I was 14, and be grateful for what you have. when I look at my life, no matter what's happening, I can tell you this: the darkest points of my life, and there are some very, and for everybody that suffers, and anybody that has real pain and things that happen, and I know what I've learned is that it doesn't matter where you're at or what's happening; it's the feeling. So, and I'll explain that in a second, but I slept in bushes and panhandled money. And I say that real openly and really freely, but you have to really put that in perspective. So I was 25 years old, um, and I was bloated I drank all day, all night, every day. I was sick as a dog. I used to get up in the morning, I'd puke. You throw up, and it's more like a dry heaving, and you're shaking like a leaf, and you're sick as a dog, and you cannot focus. And so the only way you can focus is to get something in your system to calm down. And I would run over to the store and I get enough money and I would beg God to please kill me. So I was a kid and I could not tolerate what was happening. So in that cycle progresses. And I've ran down the street half naked where I've defecated all over myself and urine. I can see it right now. I had ran up on the freeway in the middle of the night in blackout, and I can remember waking up on the freeway trying to jump up on the top to try to kill myself. And all I remember from it is I blacked out, and then I remember waking up at my connection's house, and the first thing I did is get up and look inside the fridge to see if there's any beers or any of the hard liquor left. And it's that vicious cycle. So in that point of despair, there was a couple times that I went to detox, and I was in an old school detox center. It was called Starting Point in Stockton, and it's a big dark room where there's a bunch of old men, and it's really fucking sad. But in that moment, there is nothing more, nothing in my life that could ever compare to that. And so if my life never got that bad again, I'll put it that way, then I've lived an amazing life. So today, when I left there, I can tell you this: the old man that saved my life, there's a bunch of them, but one of them was a guy named Gary Vermillion, and God rest his soul. I love that man. We called him Ironhead, but I remember sitting at his table about a week, not even a week, maybe 3 days. After I got out of Starting Point, I had nothing. I had a basket of clothes and a coffee mug. And we call him Big G because he had a son named Little G. And Big G said, if your life never got any better than it is right now, Rich, would you still stay sober? Would you still? And I said, oh, fuck yeah, man. I would. He goes, now we're ready to work. Now we're ready to do it, Rich. And that didn't mean that, but I was completely 100% ready. So now, fast forward 28 years later, whatever, there is nothing in the world that would make me want to ever go back to that. So the gratitude I have for just I don't deserve everything I have in my life. I can tell you that right now. Me and my best friend talk about that at least once a week. We are the luckiest men on the planet because both of us destroyed everything around us behind drinking, behind our insanity, behind my PTSD, behind my broken marriages, behind, getting fired from PG&E, behind all that. I have to live with the fact that police had to go knock on the door of my boss and tell them, you have somebody, it's called the Terrasol. There's a lot of people talk, this happened and this happened. They try to be all hardcore. I'm not fucking proud of that at all. And they went to his house and said, there's a man that wants to kill you. And, but he's in custody right now, but we need to make you aware of it. And so I had to think about that. And when I remember being locked up at the PTSD program you're in a lockdown for 30 days. And for years, it took me years to forgive myself for that because what I did to him and his family, just by knowing that, I can't even imagine how that makes him feel. So I don't even deserve his forgiveness. So if I can do things in this world to try to make something better and something right, then I will. And that's how I live my life now. And that is why I'm thankful and grateful for everything. Because $1 more than what I had yesterday, then I'm a rich man.
Mhm.
And if my life never got any better than it is at this fucking moment right now, I have lived the best life I could have ever imagined.
Beautiful, bro.
Yeah.
And
Beautiful.
obviously, you've learned it the hard way, right?
Mhm.
Like it's been beating into you by life, by all things that happen to you. How do you now teach the same uh, uh, way of looking at life to your kids without putting them to, the same path that you learned it?
Really, with my kids, it's something that I live. So I'm a firm believer that you cannot just think your way into good living. You have to live your way into good thinking. And so when people go and um, this is why I struggle with like the podcast and the social media piece, because people will assume they'll read something or they'll hear something and they think it's like some great words like, oh, you need to blah blah blah, or yeah. The one that gets me the most is that guy that does this, and I know you guys know who he is. It's that he always does this three. He points his fingers like this. There are 3 different ways you can do this. If you do them 3 different ways, why do they do this? You know why? I took a public speaking class. That actually catches people's more attention than going like this.
Yeah.
So this can look like it's flipping somebody off. But if you do it this way, they're trying to grab your attention.
Right.
So small things like that.
Yeah.
And people will watch it and they'll just hear whatever sounds good.
Yeah.
The girl I dated in prison, she would send me TikTok reels. I think she was I think it's a Sagittarius. So that was her whole being.
Oh.
And she would send me reels of describing, Sagittarius, they love forever as soon as they get to know you and when they open their heart. And I'm like, you know what? This is a crock of shit. You know what I mean? Come on, man. And I can justify my actions through any TikTok reel. You know what I mean? Anybody.
Yeah.
People get lost in that. And the reality is that the only way you're really going to experience those feelings and all that is by living it. Yeah. And if in my daily actions, me and my kids do things. And if I feel like if I say what we do, then it takes away from it.
Right.
But I can tell you this: I give a large portion of my income away. I give freely and randomly. My kids know that when things are of use in their house, the first thing they say is, we need to donate these, whether it be clothes, toys, or anything. Don't get me wrong, they're kids. They want what they want. My little guy always wants more Robux. Ask me for $10 in Robux every single day.
Yeah.
Never enough.
Yeah, my older boy, I have a mother-in-law quarters. He lives in the back of the mother-in-law quarters, and he still asks me for stuff. But he wrecked his car. I bought him 2 cars. He totaled the second one, and I said, no more. Yeah. And God is my witness. He got an old beater from a friend, and it is a beater, old school beater. He's, I told him he has to register it. It did pass smog. But it's got the toggle to start it and everything. It's not, it's a beater. It's leaking into oil. Thank God my cousin owns, or my brother, one of my brothers from my extended family owns an oil shop, so we can get it changed every so often. But all that kind of stuff. So he's going to have to live with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he works. He's got 2 jobs.
Yeah. Goes
to every day. He's had them for years. So it's just instilling it. And why they do that, I think, is because I live that way.
Yeah.
And I think, like I said, the only struggle I have is like with relationships. Everybody has struggles. I'm not perfect at all.
Everybody.
So those are things in my life.
That's amazing, dude. So, I mean, we went down a whole beautiful life, brother. And I'm sure there's a whole lot more to come. I want, before we close this up, I want to talk about what you're doing now with your foundation and how you're helping a lot of these young boxers.
Yeah.
So I think I know why, but why is it the boxing community that you have a great story with? Your romance is there. I have a romance with boxing. I think boxing is the greatest sport of all time, right? But what is your take on that, and why do you give so much in that area?
So from a kid, I have an uncle. My uncle Freddie was like our idol when we were growing up. He still looks like an old gangster. I'll send you guys some pictures of him. He was with Roberto Duran for years. He still is. He still does stuff with him.
Wow.
I don't, I never really asked him like, were you his this or were you his man? It was different back then.
Right.
To say that. And so they worked together for a long time, and they're still friends, and they're older men now. And so I always idolized him. I thought he was the greatest thing ever, and me and my brother both did. And so it's always been in my blood. I've watched boxing my whole life. I've been into it my whole life. I have a close friend, Tom Patty, who's grew up with Mike Tyson, so we talk quite a bit. Our kids went to school together, so there's a lot there. And then having Gabriel Flores around out of Stockton, that's a big deal. And we would always support him. I would always support him when he was an amateur. Then as he became a pro, always going to his fights, always just giving him a lot of love. I love that kid. And one day I just started really focusing. We're sitting up in the stands one day watching one of the boxing matches. This is about 5-6 years ago, and I told Rico, my son, I go, we're going to be down there. And he goes, really, Dad? I go, yeah, we're going to be down there. And he goes, I go, you know me. I ran a marathon. One day I told him, I go, I'm going to run a marathon. He goes, no, you're not, Dad. And I ran a marathon. You're not that quick.
No,
but you just have to set goals. So from that point, I started following. I picked one of the fighters, a young kid named Lorenzo Powell. I think he's fantastic. Just really supporting him and whatever I can do. Followed along with them, helped them put on a fight one time, and then they went their way and I went mine. And I decided, I think I have a better idea. I should start sponsoring boxers by giving back. And originally, I didn't know how I was going to do that, and I just started doing it. And then something came to me about starting a foundation in my brother's name. I don't like to put my name on a lot of stuff. I don't think it matters.
Right.
And so today, what I do is I created a 503c, which is a charitable private foundation, and it's called the Danny D Foundation. And what I do with that is I can take outside donations, put them in, or I put my own money in, and then I divvy it out between different fighters. And based on what they're doing, like right now, I have Faith Gomes, and I'm possibly going to sponsor another amateur boxer who's about to go pro. I just think that what they're doing is fantastic. I don't want to sponsor a bunch of amateur boxers. I don't think that's in my cards. I would rather sponsor the pro boxers who are just starting out because they seem to need a lot more money than anybody else. And that's kind of my thing. I have, I'm going to pronounce Kyle's name wrong, but Kyle LeConte, I think is how you say it. What is it?
Lakanlele?
Yeah, he's going to kill me for it. No,
He's going to kill all of us, bro.
Sorry, Kyle.
Yeah, sorry about that, Kyle. Me and your dad. So he's one of the main boxers. I love that kid, what he's doing.
Dude, he's so fast.
Positive energy. He's a smart kid, going to school. That impresses me a lot.
Yeah.
I like Braulio Ceja. He's another one. I think that kid's got a lot. He's just a good-looking kid. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's a good-looking kid. He's got a ton of showmanship, and he's a great boxer.
Yeah.
And that combination, that's what you need. And I like backing stuff like that. Kaylee Knight, I think it's McKnight or Knight. I can't. Gal, she's fighting out of the Atlanta group right now. That's like a team boxing something. I watch it on YouTube. She's really doing well. Got a lot of love for her. But the two main ones I'm doing right now are Gabriel Flores Jr. and Amari Jones. And I got to give a huge plug to Amari Jones. If you can, please do it.
Yeah.
So Amari Jones is going to be fighting this Friday, May 22nd, representing the whole Bay Area. And let me back that up even more. He's representing Northern California. And that's for real. Because the Bay, Sacktown, Central Valley should always be keeping it together. He will be fighting May 22nd in San Jose. Get your tickets. He is the beast. He is the Reaper. And that boy is about to knock somebody out and go to the next level, which is going to get him a world championship.
Let's go.
Telling you, let's do that.
You got to clip that up.
Yeah.
Put it out there ASAP, bro. That's
Yeah.
nice, bro.
But so Amari Jones and Gabriel Flores Jr. Right now, Gabe's got a lot of stuff in the works right now. I know I spoke with a few other traders. He's getting some new stuff going. Gabriel is a really, really good kid.
Okay.
There's been a lot
Can't
of
wait
different
for me.
talk. Yeah, there's been a lot of different talk about him, but I'm telling you right now, that kid's solid.
What's his
And
record?
I think he's 26-3 right now.
Okay.
So he's been in the game a while, and I think he's going to have a new trainer coming soon, and things are going to be a little bit different. I know I'm 100% supporting him, and we're going to be doing some stuff with you guys.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
yeah,
Thursday.
and so Gabriel's up there, and then Faith Gomez. So Faith Gomez is that's probably one of the baddest little girls I've ever seen.
She's
She's
a
about
very
24.
impressive young woman.
Yeah, I was watching
Yeah.
some of her stuff, man.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
she's a tough cookie. She is. She is.
She's gonna be a handful when she gets on man, boy. She's gonna be a handful,
Yeah.
man.
I'll tell you what, her dad is.
She
her
already
dad's
is
awesome.
a handful.
Yeah, her
Yeah.
dad is great, and I'll tell you what, I don't think he's got everything's on lockdown. He is a solid guy, Simon. Yeah,
Well,
he's
just-
a solid
it's
No,
the-
but
man,
I'm
it's-
just saying she's gonna be a handful for whoever's in the ring with her. You know, as she's already great now. I can't
yeah.
imagine what the next 5-10 years are gonna be, brother.
Oh man,
Man,
she's a
a
beast.
she's a rocket in the bottle right now, dude. She's still learning.
Yep.
She's still getting bigger. She's still getting faster. She's still getting stronger. And the amount of wisdom she's still creating.
Yep.
When she hits her peak, man, she's gonna light up the world, dude. You can see it, man. Definitely.
No, she's awesome, man. She's awesome.
You know, so everything you're talking about right now, like, you know, we're doing the same thing essentially. We're literally trying to help people, you know, small businesses, entrepreneurs, right, by creating this platform for them to hopefully exceed their expectations in their life, right? And everything that I've learned, and I'm still learning a lot in business, but everything that I'm learning, I'm literally trying to, you know, each one teach one. This is what I've learned. This is what you should try, right? Don't go through that door.
Yep.
That door kicked my ass. Go through this one. I'm telling you, it's gonna save you time and fucking misery, right? So connecting with you and listening to everything you're talking about right now, man, we are literally mirroring each other, doing the same thing but differently.
Yep.
Right. And I know I'm speaking for Angel when I say this. I want to thank you in advance for just having that opportunity to talk to you about what we're doing and you willing to help us with our calls.
Absolutely.
Because what's cool about this is like you helping us, we're helping them, and it's one big positive energy circle that's giving to each other, bro. Right? We did this small concert a couple weeks ago, and you know, one of the guys came up to me because I got on the microphone and I kind of told him what we're doing, and we just want to help push people a positive way into your dream, right? And this guy came up to me, he's all, man, the way you said that really resonated with me, man. Like, you know, we don't have enough people like you guys to help, you know, get our story out there,
Yep.
get our blessings out there, right? So, you know I'm speaking for a lot of boxers to you, man, but I appreciate what you're doing, brother. Thank you, man, because you've had many times in your life where you could have just went the other way,
Oh, yeah.
but you kept fighting forward, right? You find your purpose, you got your relationship with God, and I'm right behind you, man. 6 years ago, I went through my mess, turned it around, and developed my relationship with God. And every day I wake up, man, the first thing I tell him is thank you. As soon as my eyes open, thank you. I look at my wife, and I'm grateful, brother. I'm grateful because there's a lot of people in this world who wish they were in my position, and God's blessed me with it. So what I have to do, I have to give it away.
Yep.
Right? I have to help other people. Right? He gave me a second life, and I'm still working on it. I'm still constructing myself, but I'm realizing that the more I work on myself and the more I get better for myself, the better I can be for other people.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Thank you, brother.
Thank you guys.
Thank
man.
you,
You guys
man.
have been great, man.
That was awesome, bro.
No.
We're gonna definitely have a part 2, bro.
Yeah.
Definitely gonna have a part 2.
Yeah.
Right?
But I don't want to forget, you told me to remind you about your tattoos. So tell me a little bit about your tattoos.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to get, so besides the 65 roses right here, so most of my tattoos resemble, my God, or people have passed away in my life or different times in my life. But one of the things I wanted to bring up, so 2, actually, this is actually a picture of me and my best friend when we were 17.
Wow.
I play a harmonica.
Guitar.
That's something that I don't talk a lot about, but I do. I've been playing it for 40 years.
Get out of here,
And
bro.
Yeah,
Right
and
on.
he's playing guitar.
Yeah.
And it's called the Long Road. And so, we walked the long road together. It's kind of cool. I had a lot. This is a lot of cover up too. So this means the most. But one of the things I tattooed under my arms, and it's kind of the way that I forgave my dad. It's a line from a Pearl Jam song, and I have a couple other lyrics on me, but it says, "Oh dear Dad, can you see me now? I am like you somehow." And the significance of that line is basically, since I was young, I always wanted my dad to be proud of me, and I wanted him to like me, not just to be proud of me, but to like me. And I remember years ago being in a spot. I was running a piece of heavy equipment. I was a heavy equipment operator, and I was running a front end loader. It was in Manteca, and I was clearing out a field, right? And I knew my old man used to drive down Yosemite Boulevard and make a ride on Cottage before he went home. And I parked that thing. I kept waiting for him. I was about 20. I had just gotten out maybe, so I was probably maybe 20, or 24 or something. I don't know what I was, but and I just wanted him to see me. And I was saying that in my head, "Oh dear Dad, can you see me now? I am like you somehow." And he drove by, and I fucking cracked open the door and jumped up and I, "Hey, Dad,"
Yeah.
And he saw me and he put his hand up. And I'll tell you, man, that was the greatest fucking feeling I ever had in my life. And I hated that guy, man, for so many years. And it's a lot of damage done in that. But to have that moment, I just wanted him to know. I remember my old man worked for PG&E for 44 years. And I used to go to those yards, and I used to see him at work sometimes. All those things. But that moment, I wanted him to know that, look at me, I'm working just like you, Dad. So that one I hold really close to me.
That was beautiful.
So, yeah. It's a song called Release.
Gave me some goosebumps there,
Yeah.
man.
Thank you for sharing that.
That was-
That is,
That was awesome, brother.
Yeah.
Woo wee! That's a heck of a way to end this one, bro. That was beautiful, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, like you said, I think this
Take
is
this
the
home,
perfect
bro.
time to end it. Thank you for sticking into the end, and watching this, and you know what time it is. Like, follow, and subscribe. Make sure you leave us a message. But also, do us a favor. Go to the Danny D Foundation.
Yep. Instagram.
And Instagram. Follow him. Where can they donate?
So there's some contact information on there. There's an email address, or you can just message me on Instagram, and then we'll talk about it and what we're planning on doing. And because it's also, there's a response back. By donating, you're going to get the opportunity to meet professional boxers. They can do an ad for you, advertisement, down to even a signed glove or something.
That's right.
It's entirely up to you. With your donation, you'll be able to get something back. It's not just, hey, can we take your money?
Right.
It's a matter of, and the truth is that you can pick. You can say, hey, I'd like to be able to donate to Amari Jones, or I'd like to donate to Gabriel Flores Jr.
Wow.
or Fate. Whoever it is, doesn't matter. They'll have my logo, and you're also doing it obviously for charitable reasons for my brother in his name. All the donations are in his name. So, and we will be donating a portion of